What's up, everybody? It's your boy Nevin Isaiah Pack here with Tanner Hayworth, ready to bring you back with the big duo action, covering everything you missed at the UH campus, from the fields out front to the controllers in the back. Hey, Tanner, how you doing today?
Doing good. And some days it's good to have the controllers in the back or us in the front. It can kind of switch around pretty much everywhere.
Yeah, I feel it. All right, Tanner, to kind of kick off the recap of what's been happening over the past couple of weeks, we see our boys in the UH esports department kind of holding it down across a couple different games. Just a quick recap. The Super Smash Brothers team has been doing pretty well, holding in the top three seeds in the EGF conference with a 9-4 record, as well as tying that up with their Overwatch counterparts, both holding in like really solid middle of the pack kind of plays.
Well, on that really great transition, I'll also stick to something more of a positive. The Rainbow Warrior baseball team went ahead and started their Big West Conference play on the road against Cal State Bakersfield. It was a solid start as they started out the weekend 2-0 against the Roadrunners, a 2-0 victory. So Alex Giroux getting his first start of the year, played very well for most of the game. Then, of course, on Saturday was a very big hitting night as the Rainbows won 11-7. A solid start from Randy Abshire, a little scary by the time we got into the middle innings, but it was a solid game hitting wise. Just is one of those games you probably want to see pitching get improved, especially near the middle to the end. And unfortunately, yesterday in the Sunday game, there was a 2-3 loss for Rainbow Baseball as Bakersfield got 2 runs in the final inning for a walk-off victory over the Bows. But even though Bakersfield, they don't really have that great of a record, they are still stacked with a pretty great pitching staff. A couple of them are seeing MLB looks, as there were multiple MLB scouts in the attendance over this weekend, even though it was very small. Bakersfield crowds, solid attendance for them. Like I said, MLB scouts were there too, so not only did they get a couple of looks at Bakersfield players, but they also got solid looks at some of the better Rainbow baseball players as well. I thinking of our one of our better players, our freshman Elijah Iquez, who foregoed the MLB draft to play this year as a freshman. I'm sure he's been seeing a lot of really great looks as he's been doing a really great job out at third base, and a bunch of our pitchers probably saw a lot of really great looks there as well. So Rainbow Baseball will be returning home for a 2-week homestand against San Diego State this week, as well as the top of the Big West, UC Irvine, in 2 weeks.
Ooh, crushing to hear that the Bows are catching L's across the board here. Cause
Oh,
I also
it's
have
just
to
one L, one L. To be fair,
one L. You know what? We take
we're
what
not
we
at
can
the
get.
other sports yet. We're not at the other sports yet.
True. We haven't gotten that deep into the season. But I have to also be the bearer of bad news that the UH esports Valorant teams across both their JV and varsity squads are also not doing super hot. JV is holding the 6th seed in their EGF conference with a 9-4 record right now. They're looking above the worst teams, but not better than the best teams. Really cementing that like middle of the pack spot for them. But for the varsity boys, had a very crushing, very close defeat against Titans East this past weekend. It was on. It was a close 1-2 series. The boys in green did not do the best job at securing sites and keeping the teamwork cohesive and together. But when they were on, their peaks were looking fantastic. Their shot placements were looking immaculate, and the teamwork was on point. But just the whole chemistry of when they're not working together makes this whole thing looking kind of shaky. As they are getting into their playoff season soon, the Bows really need to like pick it up in the Valorant scene. If I'm being honest here, Tanner.
Well, that's definitely tough to see from a really great program like the Valorant teams are kind of historically for UH Esports. But if I were to take over to be a little bit more good news, in the only home game for all of Hawaii Athletics last week, the Wahine water polo team defeats the number 5 USC Trojans to open our 4-game homestand. Now, earlier this year, the Wahine did take down USC when they were number 1. And this victory over the Trojans at home, I believe, is one of the first in a very, very long time for the University of Hawaii over USC, as this year, in the final year of head coach Mo Cole, they've been breaking a lot of these beating this team for the first time in a long time kind of records. But water polo goes 9-8 in this game against USC. UH junior Bernadette Doyle posted a team high 5 points, which is 4 assists and a goal. Junior Jordan Wedderburn led the team with a hat trick, or 3 goals. This is her 3rd hat trick on the season, and it was a very tight game. UH only held a 2-goal lead before USC scored with only about 2.5 minutes left. And in the final possession of the game, USC had the ball, but after a forced turnover, the Rainbow Wahine hung on for a 1-goal win, improving to 13-3 on the season. Right now, the University of Hawaii sits at number 4 in the polls. This, of course, comes after a pair of losses against the number 1 UCLA Bruins and top-ranked Cal Golden Bears as well. So upcoming for the Rainbow Wahine will be taking on Cal State Fullerton as they come over to the Duke Kahanamoku Aquatics Complex now against this USC game. It was mighty packed. It was on Spectrum, so that was really awesome to see. So hopefully the Rainbow Wahine say another weekend of a packed Duke Kahanamoku Aquatics Complex. Of course, this is now the, I believe, 2nd time or 3rd time. It's that UH is playing Cal State Fullerton as they start their program. Last year, in the first ever matchup between these teams, UH beat Cal State Fullerton 20-3. So hopefully we see a nice repeat of that matchup this weekend.
Dang, 20-3! What a smoke show! Hopefully we can repeat it.
That's the hopes. That's the hopes for sure.
Yeah, that's the hopes. Well, it's good to hear that the women on the field are keeping it locked down, because the women on the keyboards are also bringing the heat. The women of UH Esports Valorant team has actually been making waves on their initial debut into an actual tournament circuit. They made a deep quarterfinals run in the recent Esports U Collegiate Cup. They absolutely smoked some of the competition, going flawless rounds against some of these guys, and it was hard fought defeat against the University of Houston Scarlet team that they met in the quarterfinals. But the teamwork was there when they were like keeping on point. But it was a hard fought defeat. Just they were just not showing up to site on time. They were looking a little disjointed in some of their team plays, but gotta give credit where credit's due. The University of Houston Scarlet team really brought the heat to the girls this past weekend, and knocked them out in the quarterfinals.
Well, that's nice to hear that the women are holding it down. Unfortunately, this weekend for both women's and men's basketball, one, it ended up being the end of one season, and one, it ended up being the start of a different postseason that not a lot of people were expecting for it to go. I'll get there in a second, but in the Big West men's basketball tournament, basically win every single game and you get into March Madness. Unfortunately for the men, after their second first round victory in almost 8 years, unfortunately they would fall to UC Davis in the semifinals of the Big West men's basketball tournament. It started out really ugly for the Rainbow Warriors as they found themselves down about 17 or 16 points to the Big West Men's Player of the Year, Elijah Pepper, and his teammate T.Y. Johnson, and a really great backcourt that UC Davis team had. But as they got to the end of the first half, UH did end up whittling down the lead to about 2. And then it was deja vu, where UC Davis then once again ballooned to an absolutely massive lead. But then the Rainbow Warriors came back once again, and following an absolutely amazing athletic and one layup from senior Jovan McClanahan, the Rainbow Warriors did have a chance to tie the game up or at least win the game, where Jovan McClanahan in the final 10 seconds of the game had a step back pull-up jumper, and unfortunately just clanked off the rim, and Justin McCoy, one of our forwards, was called on a foul for a push-off, thus ending the season for the Rainbow Warriors. They did have a chance to have a bid into the CBIs, which is another postseason tournament, but both Aran Ganat and Craig Angelis did confirm that they would not be accepting that bid, thus focusing on recruiting for next season and ending the collegiate careers of 6 seniors here on the Rainbow Warriors basketball team. So first of all, thank you and congratulations to guys like Jovan McClanahan, Noel Coleman, Justin McCoy, Bernardo da Silva, Juan Munoz, and Matthew Cotton for their contributions to the team and all that they've done for the program in their couple of years, for some of them, that they've been here at the University of Hawaii. And on the women's side, once again, they would also find themselves losing to UC Davis in their first match after their double bye going into the Big West Women's Basketball Tournament. And it was just bad turnovers, a lot of missed shots. The first team All Big West forward Deja Phillips would only play 10.5 minutes before injuring her ankle early into the third quarter, and Lily Wahine Kapu, the guard that the team really depends on for a lot of offensive prowess, made her first shot of the game, would then end up missing her last 12 shots, including 2 clutch free throws that would have given the Rainbow Wahine the lead. So unfortunately, they would not go and defend their Big West title going for the three-peat. However, due to them winning the regular season of the Big West, they do get the invite to the WBIT, which is basically the NCAA giving you another chance at another postseason award. The chance that Laura Beeman and her squad are looking to take, as Laura Beeman, her goal this year now has just become win a postseason game, because whether it be through the NITs or the March Madness, her squad hasn't come up with a win. So coming up on Thursday, the Rainbow Wahine will be taking on the Cal Golden Bears, another familiar opponent across another sport. But that's going to be a very interesting game, as if you go over all of their teams with similar results, both teams beat San Jose. Both teams lost to Stanford. The only real difference is early in the year when the Rainbow Wahine lost to the University of Washington, a team that Cal won against. So this will be a very interesting matchup as the Rainbow Wahine look to head up to Berkeley this Thursday for some postseason play.
Ooh, it's a shame to hear
Was
about
that
the
enough for you?
boys. Huh?
Was that enough for you?
Wait, I'm gonna finish up with the League of Legends team and then.
Oh no, I was just making a joke because that was a lot of information that I just gave out.
No. Oh my
I hope you
gosh,
were
yeah.
taking notes.
I was. The UH Esports League of Legends team is making their deep run into the finals for their rematch against SJSU, longtime rivals. They just blew through the semifinals by decimating Nevada Esports. If I could be quite frank, Tanner, the struggles that the league team has been facing lately with player swaps and people having to substitute out, and some players not being able to like finish out their seasons. It's been a lot of tough challenges seeing them overcome, and they've been rolling with the punches really well. Their top laner Nahiro is really holding it down, picking in that Olaf. Coming in this past weekend with another two pentakills to add to his titles. This man has been a giant rock for the top lane, and has been really setting the tone in how well the UH esports teams have been playing. Having a fighter to kind of just always control the top half of the map really opens up the jungle to go and get a lot of grub control, and I'm gonna get a little technical here, but like their objective control really bleeds out top down for the UH esports team, and it's really like good to see. It's good to see that they have a game plan going into every game, every series, and they're firing on all cylinders. Truthfully, this is the best we've looked in all of my years here, watching the esports teams, and this is some of our highest hopes to ever see the league team win their Mountain West Conference, and this weekend is going to be their finals match against longtime rivals SJSU, facing off against the Spartans one more time. This past regular season was the first time that they've ever beaten SJSU in a series, and hopefully we're hoping that the boys strike gold once more as they face off against them this weekend. But yeah, no, that brings it up for what's been going on with UH Esports.
You know, that's awesome to hear because the last episode that we did, we had that really great conversation with a bunch of UH Esports League players fresh off of their first victory over the San Jose State Spartans. So anytime I hear that we're gonna have a nice little rivalry match, especially with this much stakes behind it, I think that's gonna be a very exciting watch wherever you can find it. And I'm excited to hear that'll happen, and go Bows, all the way. And you're talking about that rivalry match. I want to finish off with our own little rivalry match that went down this weekend. Unfortunately for us, the University of Hawaii men's volleyball team does fall in both games against Long Beach State, our dreaded rival in men's volleyball, as the men's volleyball team is still dealing and struggling with the recent loss of Spiros Hakis, as it's really still only been a week. But when you go over the first game on Friday, it was that 3-0 sweep, all games being relatively close. And then on Saturday night, there was the real big chance that the University of Hawaii could beat Long Beach State, as they took set 4 to deuces, winning in the fourth set, taking it all the way to a fifth set where Long Beach would eventually get a 15-13 victory. But when you look at each set, Long Beach State winning the first 25-20, Hawaii 25-20 in the second. Long Beach 4, it was just trading wins, all within the same point differentials as well, all being very close. And in lieu of Spiros Hakis, you had guys like Keone Thim rise up for 20 kills and 2 aces, and the freshman Frenchman Luis Sakonoko getting 19 kills, 3 blocks, and an ace as well as some highlight kills, whether it be him having one of the most smooth roll shots I've ever seen in my life, or an absolute just killer of a hit that basically dented the Terraflex over there in Long Beach. I think this team will have still about 4 weeks before the Big West tournament. They should not be discouraged by these 2 losses. Historically, the University of Hawaii has not done very well against Long Beach State at Long Beach, and I really do think that in the next 4 weeks, this team can find an answer for the loss of Spiros Hakis.
Crushing to hear that the Bows are having troubles abroad when they're going to visit. But at the very least, it's good to hear that they're looking strong no matter what.
Oh yeah, they're looking real fun. They'll have a nice little home series this weekend to hopefully get a nice little bit of a not a rest, but kind of like a ease it back into some
Get
solid
some more
winning
pep in their
tempo.
step. Get some of the
Yeah.
energy back. But that's amazing to hear, Tanner. It's good to hear that on the courts and on the controllers, the UH is bringing heat no matter where we go. That being said, we do have an interview with Eric Mathews coming up next.
So joining us now is a friend of pretty much anyone that's close to the Hawaii Athletics. I feel like once you get to know him, he's the director of marketing. Some know him as Captain Fun, yet know him as Eric Mathews. Eric, you're joining us from all the way out in Las Vegas, enjoying some time in Henderson, Nevada for the Big West Championship games for basketball. How's it going?
So far, so good. The craps tables haven't done very well for me yet, but everything else seems to be going in a good direction. Just got back from our rally that we did with the teams and some alumni and fans here in Vegas, and so that was a good time. And once we get done talking, I'm going to go enjoy Pac-12 basketball while I'm here. So it's a pretty good feeling right now.
Awesome, Eric. So, we actually kind of wanted to come pick your brain since you're our marketing guru, our like our major domo of marketing at UH. So, like, what is the current plan to get butts in seats and like start packing the stadium and like, what can you talk a little bit about what you and your team are doing to like try and engage fans to get them to come watch all of our fantastic sporting events?
So that's a loaded question in a lot of different ways because there's a lot of different layers to it. Let me start at this point. So you have to have a target demographic of the type of fans you want to appeal to. And it is my belief, some may disagree, and that would probably be for most places your base right now. In most situations, your base is males, usually ranging from the age of 22 to about 45, 50. There's usually about a 30-year part in there that every school in the country, every sports franchise in the country goes, that's our target, that's our people. We're going to make sure we appeal to them because we know that they're the ones that have the most passion, they have expendable income, they may have families, they may be single, but they're going to always watch, they're always going to be involved. It is my belief that a lot of those got overlooked. Probably about 15, 20 years ago, right after the Sugar Bowl run, was that it was kind of looked at as they're always going to be here. We don't have to worry about that. And what I've seen and what we have noticed data wise from our ticket analysis and everything else is our ticket sales have been traditionally heavy for those that are 55 and older. And I'm not just talking season tickets, I'm talking like overall ticket sales, which in a way is good because they have expendable income. They probably are retired or getting close to retirement, and they just like going and like having something to do. It's their team. That's kind of what they were raised on. But that gap, that age group I was referring to earlier, was not really focused on. And either they have moved, they're no longer fans because of either success or lack thereof, or they have found other interest. And when I see other interests, like just UH didn't build up the imaging and the branding of it, of this is your team, this is your state, this is, we need your support. I tell you that background to get to this point is knowing that I also know that demographic is not one that you win over overnight. The biggest way to get that demographic back is if you win. Personally, that's just kind of how it is. If they're already a fan and you lose and this or that, like they're still going to be here. But if you don't have them already, the only way that you're going to get them here is if you win, and that's the position that we're in. Well, in my role, I have no say on if we win or lose. Only thing I have control of is what we do in the game and the branding of it and trying to spread the word and do a few other things. So again, I'm trying to break all this down layer wise to get to this point. Our target demographic right now is kids. Our target demographic is from age 5 to about 14. If we're able to get them we start getting them and winning them over to eventually they're going to grow up and turn into that demographic of the passionate ones that like winning and losing is a huge thing to them, and like they're going to, they're born green, they bleed green, they go to school for green, they die green. That does not, we don't have that. So I'm like, let's take the time to create it. So you guys have been to our events. It is kid heavy. Every cam that we do, majority of the winners we do, a lot of the activities we do on the court is kid heavy. When they're there, we want them to have the best time that they've ever had. We want to make sure Dippin' Dots is open. The part that becomes difficult is how do you advertise to kids when they're not there? There's so many things you can do, but at the same time, like it's strategic marketing through TikTok and social media, and how do you spend your money, and how do you do your message. So what I have done is we're trying to get our athletes more engaged with kids, having them on campus and doing stuff. We're trying to take our teams out to schools and do more of that. But the biggest thing that we're doing is we are targeting those younger moms. Women 25 to 35 is our second demographic in terms of our branding and our imaging. So we do a lot of daytime television appearances with Hawaii News Now, KHON, KITV, specialty programming that we do. It's all that is daytime television that those moms of those kids will start seeing and start being presentable to them. So when the kid comes around and goes, hey, I want to go watch Hawaii play, I want to go watch UH, they were at my school, the mom is thinking, I saw them, they look like they're good kids and they're having fun playing and they seem really nice, I saw them on television, or I heard them here or saw them this. Then they're like, it starts connecting. Because the way it used to be was the dad of the family would make the decision. This is what we're doing this weekend. This is what we're doing as a family. That has changed over the last 20 years, and now it's what does the kid want to do? So if the kid is getting the messaging, and when they go, they have a good time, they keep coming back to mom. The mom sees the stuff on television and our other strategy, what we're doing on social media, we're like, this is like a good idea. And then we put the pricing out there that's a very affordable ticket, doing these type of messaging and stuff like that. That's how you start turning that wave around to try and drive attendance up and trying to get people to really buy into the program so that you have more longevity, and we start building on the foundation of fans that are younger. As they grow up, it becomes a generational thing again, and they start, telling their kids or their friends or whatever else. I remember going to UH back when Bernardo Silva played, and like you start building on all these different things, and boom, next thing you know, in 15 years from now, UH is a stronger brand than ever because we focus on this generation of kids.
I'm gonna lie, Eric, that's kind of genius.
I love that because I think I can compare to when I was watching a lot of the basketball games last year, attending a lot of basketball games this year. Vastly different. Like what you said, there are, I feel like, a lot more kids. I can't remember what game it was, when it was basically the whole Eva Beach Elementary School squad that was going on to the right of the media table. That was really fun just to see just them screaming every single time the ball was coming down the court. Then there was like a whole other like group of other kids on the other side of the court. You guys have done a whole lot of other stuff. I think the mystery box has been kind of the big hit of the season. It's the thing that I look forward to the most after the game, personally. I'm always, whenever I see the mystery box come down, I'm like, this kid better pick the box. Because if he ain't picking the box, he's not living a life of risk. And that's how you live life. And so I think there's a lot of really great, small victories here and there. Do you think, though, because obviously there's the easy way to have that direct comparison of sports, especially when you compare basketball to other sports like women's or men's volleyball. You're obviously gonna, I think it's pretty safe to say in Hawaii, you're always gonna get bigger crowds for men's and women's volleyball just because of the history of those two programs. When it comes to marketing for basketball, especially for this season, what were kind of like those main strategies of, getting these more people in there? And do you think that it's like feasible to try to get basketball to like the crowd levels of, say, like men's volleyball, who just had 7,000 people just on a Sunday evening?
So this is another one of those. There's a lot of layers here. So let me kind of
We love
start
layers.
connecting. Let me start connecting the dots of the layers. There are two things that make volleyball here very successful. One, it is something that is unique to Hawaii. Volleyball has been for years just an elite sport that people take pride in, which is fantastic. Which is the good thing with women's volleyball is you have a coach here that played here, that was an All-American, that was an Olympian, that did all these things. So she's going to have support already. And just the historical part of the program is going to have that support as well. So you're already drawing the older fans to women's volleyball. Men's volleyball, kind of the same thing, but men's volleyball has evolved over the last 15 years under Charlie Wade of being a successful program that's been built up for the last 15 years. Both of them share one other thing is the way the athletes connect with the fans is more open and genuine than any other sport I think we have here. And this is going to sound weird, but roll with me here. Our volleyball athletes are a lot like NHL athletes. NHL puts on the best fan product in all of sports, in my opinion, night in and night out, because of how genuine the athletes are with the crowd and with fans and the interaction. If you look at men's volleyball, case in point, they're the easiest ones to really show. Look at the guys that we've had over the last handful of years with Spiros and I'm drawing a blank on his name, number 4, big dude. Did not win a national title, but I can't remember his name off the top of my head. But Patrick Gassman was another one. Like, you had some guys over the last handful of years that were so personable that people fell in love with them. Stein von Tilburg, there it is.
There we go.
I know it's gonna get there eventually.
Got there in the
But
end.
like,
It was gonna get me all day for that one, Ted.
all these guys are genuinely good people that have no problem sharing that they're good people. And they're not trying to walk around stoic or mean or like, real hard type of they don't walk around like that. They walk around like happy to see you, glad you're here type of mentality. What you guys have seen this year with basketball and trying to change that is I'm taking a play out of the men's volleyball playbook in terms of interaction with fans. I don't know if you guys saw it or not, but we had a commercial at the very beginning of the season for season tickets, and who was the guy we featured? Did you guys remember? Did you see that commercial?
I don't think I saw it. Tanner, did you?
Radio.
Ah.
Come on. Television.
We did a commercial. We did a commercial where it showed the guys at Media Day, and they're all asking, "Where's more?" And at the end of the commercial, it's more outside waiting for the ticket window to open to buy tickets for his friends to come watch him play. We're showing the person who has the biggest personality that people recognize because he's 7'1", fun to watch, and a pretty good dude, in Morsek. The plan for next year is to do the exact same thing with Moore again, but add Akira Jacobs into the mix, because they're probably two of the biggest fan favorites that are returning next year. You look at what we're doing on social media, and social media has been a part of the plan for the last 4 years that I don't know if people have noticed or not. We show more of player personalities on social media than I really believe almost any school in the entire country. And I'm not saying that just to boast. I'm saying that because I think it's 100% true. Is we show them what they're doing off the court. We're showing their passion to win. There's a lot more celebration shots. There's a lot of this stuff of them smiling, of them interacting. We show them with fans, all that other stuff. We strategically do this because it's my belief and our department's belief that the more that we show the athletes being people, the more likely that the fans are going to fall in love with the individual and not determine whether or not they're going to support off wins and losses. They want to see this kid succeed. They want to see this coach do well because I saw them on television or I saw them on social media or I saw them somewhere else and they seem like they're really good people and we want to do that. So to get back to your original question is how do we get the volleyball crowd to stay and get men's basketball, women's basketball to move up? That's exactly what we're doing is we're presenting the same thing that men's volleyball has been presenting for the last handful of years, personality, their whole like tie into the community and doing all those different things. That's why Beeman's Big Bash, I think, was as successful as it was because we were using our athletes and putting them out there and having them do different things to try and get that message across because it's kind of hard to tell Kelsey Imai no when she's a local girl who has a winning smile and a great personality. It's kind of hard to hate them. And so you're trying to put them in the spotlight of being likable, being lovable, and people not going off of, oh, they had a rough game or they make a bad decision here. I don't like this player. No, it's the opposite. Is what they do on the floor is just add on to what they do as a person and who they are, and you already like them for who they are. The other part just comes with it.
Awesome. I think that like that's a fantastic like way and like truthfully I think it really comes across every time like I see the players like on social media or like in person, like yeah, all of them are just like bundles of joy that you just want to like go up and talk to, like not only is the Twin Towers like walking on campus, but like they're also some of the nicest people around. So like that's awesome to hear. Eric, so I know that earlier this year you guys started doing like theme nights and bringing all that stuff back. I actually got to see your guys' video game night, and I know we talked about that a little bit. But do you have some advice to give other programs here at UH that like also want to like throw events and stuff on ways that they can like improve their engagement to try and like reach out to the local audience?
Take the easy way. That is the downfall of a lot of departments, and not just UH, that's the downfall of a lot of places, is they want to take the path of less resistance. And let's just say that we did it. We said we did it, we did our job. No one can say that we didn't try. I want someone to come back to me and go, hey, Eric, that didn't work. That wasn't a good idea. Because then I can have the conversation of, okay, why? When you're able to ask the question why, you start learning more about the fan base. You learn more about what they want. Because, and I think you and I had this conversation when you came in to interview me one-on-one about our department and whatnot, is why do I have so many student workers on staff? And do you remember my answer to that question? The answer to that question is, I'm a 36-year-old grown man who loves Wu-Tang Clan and smokes cigars. That's who I am. That's me. What I do and what I enjoy, I already know is not exactly what our fan base enjoys, or the students enjoy, or the kids enjoy. I know this, and I'm cool with that, knowing that my interest is not their interest. I need to know more about their interest. Because, guys, you have no idea how much hate I got for Taylor Swift night at men's basketball. I got so many angry emails and so many angry social media messages of like, do you know who she is? She's a part of the Illuminati and like all this other nonsense of like there's nothing about Taylor Swift that appeals to a men's basketball crowd and blah, 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 blah. I get all that hate. And I'm just sitting there reading going, okay, cool, gotcha. At the same time, look at our ticket sales from that night. It doesn't look like it's that much different, but if you dive deeper into the actual ticket sales, our women's ticket purchases were up 45% compared to the rest of the year. They were up that night 45% for women's sales. And kids sales, that was the first night where kids sales were up as well compared to other games. The women's did not maintain, which I didn't expect it to, but the kids did. It maintained that the rest of the year. We tried something. Now, am I going to Taylor Swift night again? There's a possibility. But could we do something else that's a theme of along the same lines? Good possibility. Because you see a tick, you see a jump in things, in which is building on the fan base of something they may enjoy. So if we do something that doesn't work, I'm all for it. Video game night, for instance. I want that to be bigger than what it was. And it could have been. But we still gave away a Nintendo Switch, which got everyone excited at the mystery box, which thank you for pointing out the mystery box. I'm glad that that idea has gone very, very well this year. But like you do those type of things to get a reaction out of people. And another one that we did, anime night. I really wanted anime night to be bigger and to be better than what it was. But at the same time, we have to have a starting point. And those three theme nights were our starting point of how is this going to work? How's this going to go? If it doesn't go the way we want it to, then what can we change? And so, again, I'm long winded, but I'm trying to explain details and other things. You asked the question about the ideas and my advice to other ones. And that's why I'm saying that don't take the easy way. It's okay the first time you try something for it not to work because you learn something about the fan base or the execution or whatever it is. All three of those, technically, you could say we're supposed to crash and burn because we've never done them before. But they didn't because we learned something, we executed things, and we did some stuff that got a reaction. Video game night was the big pop for the Nintendo Switch and advertising that. Anime night was mystery box. The kid was wearing a Pikachu costume, and look at what he got. Open the box, it's a Pikachu and a trading card set. I mean, it got a huge reaction. Plus, you got the stuff that we're doing on the video board. We took every basketball player and turned them into an anime character. Like, you're doing these type of things as a starting point to set a foundation, a base to build off of. If more offices and more departments were like, this is not supposed to go well, we know this, let's learn from it and do the best we can with it to see what it can turn into, that's where you start seeing success, and that's where you start, like, really figuring things out to really do bigger, better things.
Awesome. You were saying, you had some long-winded answers. Eric, it wouldn't be an interview with you without, the long, super well explained, super well contextualized answers. So I think we all appreciate what you bring. I'm excited for Taylor Swift Night 2.0. I'm a big lover of the Taylor Swift Night, and I'm excited for, the rest of the season to come for men's volleyball, which there's only 4 or 2 more series left already, which is insane to say out loud. But thank you so much for joining us and taking time out of your time in Henderson/Vegas. Good luck tonight, and hope you hit the jackpot. Or
Me
don't
too.
hit the jackpot, because we still need you here.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Please stay. We still need Captain Fun around.
Captain Fun ain't going anywhere. I promise. If I hit the jackpot, no one will know. I'm just going to be living a little more lavishly, but I'm still going to be staying here because I like what I'm doing. I do want to bring up. I want to bring up this. I don't know if you guys are time constrained or whatnot, but please ask me a question about Beeman's Big Bash so I can talk about that, because that was, you guys. I don't know, Tanner. You may know this better than most. That was such a huge night. I don't know what other people's perception was. I've heard a lot of positivity out of it, but what do you guys think about that night in particular?
It was amazing. I thought it was one of the better women's basketball games I've ever been to. It certainly helped that UCSB was a little feisty themselves with that game, but I think it was the perfect opponent to pick for Beeman's Big Bash. And you know this, like everyone else does. If there's any way to highlight Laura Beeman and just put her in the spotlight, I think that's a win for any single night, because that is somebody who I think could probably be considered one of the best coaches in UH history, barring any sport. So I think it's awesome that we had an event like that, and I thought it went over well with a lot of people.
So this will be the last thing that I talk about. I know you guys probably have other things you want to do and whatnot, and I got blackjack to play and craps to have fun at. But I do want to point this point across. I don't know if this guys goes into your interview or your podcast and kind of what you're going for here, but I do think it's important to hit on. Is you mentioned how things are different this year compared to what you see in years past. One of the big differences is the amount of things that we're putting into games, like in terms of like engagement and stuff on the video board and things like that. There's a lot more to it, and it's a lot quicker. And one of the most significant things that we've done this year is we have really gone after the idea of screw up, learn from it, let's figure out how we can make it better type of philosophy as a staff when it's at games. Because what most people don't think understand is how many people kind of, at least in marketing, go into to produce a game. So to kind of break it down, you have myself that is a director, or you have someone on my staff who is a director kind of running the event. After that, you have four production people that are working together, live cameras and video board crew. And then you have roughly between 5 and 8 that are helping execute things on the floor, that's getting fans involved and doing some other stuff, doing t-shirt tosses and this and that. So we have a rotation of roughly, and I'm not exaggerating here, 30 people to kind of help with this. So you have 30 different minds thinking 30 different ways to try to execute a live event. That in itself is already hard. So you take that part of it already being hard, and then you add in extra stuff that we've never done before. We got to make sure we're doing stuff where every single second that we have in a media timeout, we need to use it. The best part about that night for People's Big Bash was it wasn't that, oh, I had fun. It wasn't, oh, that we won. It was, I was never bored. Everything we were doing, and I didn't tell my staff this when we were going through the whole entire process from the start of basketball season November till middle of February, was everything we were doing that was new was to get ready for that night, to make sure that that night went well. Because I don't know if anybody, some people already remember a little bit, we were teasing Beeman's Big Bash back in August during football season. It was a 15-second video that would pop up at football to tease it. And everything that I was doing was to get us ready for that night, to make sure that everything went as well as it possibly could have gone. And everything that night clicked. Opponent, style of play, attendance, execution of ideas, new ideas, local celebrities being there, social media looking great, TV interviews working, advertising in newspaper, working with ESPN Honolulu and radio affiliates to get the word out there, the whole thing going after a record. All these things don't just kind of happen, which I think people take for granted. We went through different phases of sucking and not being very good to get to that night to make sure everything went well. Because when it's women's basketball, which does not have a connotation with it of being an exciting atmosphere, it was always kind of looked at as they're just playing. They're really good, but it's just a game. No, this was not a game. This was a must-attend event. And at the end of the night, that happened. And the amount of work that went into that was a credit to what our entire office was dedicated to doing, which has been building off of this entire basketball season. And next year is going to be the year where we're like doing, okay, we've set the standard. What's the next part of this? So I wanted to get that out there for this type of conversation, because I think it's something that I think will find interest for you guys and for others that may listen to this. But I do want to ask you guys a question. Which sounds better? The second annual Beeman's Big Bash or Beeman's Bigger Bash? That's what I'm leaning towards, because you look at next year, with it being the senior year for Kelsey, Dacia, Maylani, Lily, BK, Hallie, there's 6 right there. I may be leaving somebody out. But you add that plus the team winning, plus the reputation that we have this year, that record of over 6,000 in a women's basketball game is extremely attainable. And I'm looking forward to already planning that event to making sure that we get there and that we do some stuff. And that was my whole thing was this year, let's do it. Let's have fun. Let's try it. Let's lead up to it. But I'm looking at next year, February 2025, and what can we do to make that game, that event, more memorable than what we saw this past year.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Eric, for all that you've done. You talk about, all of the period, of sucking. It's nice to know that your expertise as a Reds fan can really come out.
100%. Just kick me right in the head. I'm just looking good. Like, boom! Super kick. Yeah, right in the head. You're throwing the Reds reference on that. So thank you for doing that. But yes.
I can do for you, Eric,
Yes, we're putting that to work now. So thank you for pointing that out. Thank you.
Well, appreciate it. Get to craps. Hopefully you hit the big 21 a couple of times on blackjack. But appreciate you giving us your time. Thank you very much, Eric, and hope you have a great rest of your day. And enjoy Vegas and Henderson. And go Bows.
Aloha, fellas, and go Bows.
And that's been another episode of the Big Does podcast with Nevin Isaiah Pack and Tanner Hayworth.